But again, how would you define this and actually come up with this is the right answer? The only way to do that is to survey people, run a study, and allow the user audience to dictate that answer to you based on the data from that study. But for right now, for this class, we can start out with and say, so far from this, okay, now, so far, does this make, can we agree-ish that this is starting to make sense?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, so then,
you would probably want to change, like you said, like accessories, and maybe add like, make it something, say something else that would maybe match menus a little better.
I think you should say one of the main items should be the law, since it's, I mean, I think people are really curious about that since it's new.
so what is the law?
That should be like
yeah.
a main navigation.
Yeah, so that could be,
Or information, or facts.
facts. Either, and again, this is where then, this is going to be up to you.
I think facts would be better because it's stronger.
Sure. Okay. But one way, shape, or form, that's what I'm trying to illustrate, and I think doing one is enough because this was a really good one. Right? So let's not do the bike shop, sorry.
Okay.
Unless you really want to.
No.
Yeah. It's been a long week already. It's only Wednesday.
Oh, that was not the right
so-
time to call me.
All I'm trying to say is one way, shape, or form.
Client.
Okay, so let's say training, equipment, accessories. So we have accessories, information, or that could be info. Would you
FYI.
really look there to get the legal stuff?
Not unless I didn't know.
FAQ.
So put legal.
Yeah.
Frequently
Or-
asked questions.
Facts and legal, maybe? You could like do a double, like, You could do that.
A rollover.
Right?
Would it make more sense to have the legal aspect, just have a link to the actual like state legal page instead of trying
Possibly.
to go through all that?
Yeah, so
Possibly.
Well, it's probably
I
a
noticed a lot of
1,000-page
the
document.
recreational
Yeah, so why don't we
shops
just
do
screen scrape it?
is
And
they have like a PDF that goes through like
That's what-
all
yeah.
the law of Washington State and the.
If they could just link
But
it.
I'd want bullet points. I mean, I don't want to read a 1,000-page government
I know we
document.
don't want too many first level menus, but I think edibles is one, screens is one, accessories is one.
Okay.
Oh, you get stuff you can eat right on the front page. Oh, you can get something I
But
can
that
slip
might
it
be
in.
good.
3 main topics.
And
right
so
off the
that
bat.
again is an argument for flat versus deep hierarchies, okay? So, hold on. So that would then be, well, if we are going to, here's my argument against that, okay? If I were to do about strains, edibles, accessories, contact, these 3 are very similar. So again, remember, prospective students, current students, course information, those are all very, very similar. They can be bundled under one that we understand of academic programs. So the other way to go is if you are then doing an e-commerce site, and this is again a discussion that we have in the 202 class, that's where your main meat and potatoes of your navigation is product category, product category, product category, product category, product category, about contact, etc. is up in the, in other words,
Utilities.
you have to decide what the bread and butter of the website is. Is this a product website? If it is, then we would typically, our main navigation would be split into the product categories. If this is a brick and mortar store, that product is a small portion of it, then I think, my opinion, it makes more sense to bundle it under a products tab, but not always, right? The one defining thing is if these 3 are closely resemble each other, right, and they could be bundled, they should be bundled. If they don't, in other words, if these are different enough, that they shouldn't be bundled, then they stand on their own. So what I'm saying is you're right, and I'm right. But that's that's one user says against another user says. So who's right?
Well,
How do you define that? If 7 out of 10 go with you, your way is the way. If 7 out of 10 go the way I'm saying, that's the way. So that's how the argument gets played out. But for this class, right, whatever Kyle decides to do because of this discussion is whatever Kyle decides to do because of this discussion, because he is the designer of said content site. That make sense?
Sure.
Yeah. Good question.
And then couldn't you, like, if you have that, like, couldn't you do, like, on the front page, if you do your survey and a lot of your customers are like, we want to know where the screens are and we want to know where the edibles are, you can make that an actual image on the front.
Sure.
And just make it so it's right there in front of their face and
Right.
they click that.
That's where...
Like a sub-nav on the page, but more of a visual nav.
That is what I call, and we'll talk about it when we get into content layout, that is what I call those little feature widgets.
Yes, that's what I'm thinking.
Right?
Feature.
And that's where this one, specials.
Yes, exactly.
So does specials become its own navigation item, which when you get into the 202 class, like I said, we can't discuss this class without discussing a little bit about the 202 class, but when you get into the 202 class, what you will have for, let's say, a shoe or a clothing type of content, right? You might have men's, women's, kids on sale. So on sale or specials is the oddball, but it is important enough that it becomes its own main navigation item, and sometimes it's colored differently. Is that who's ever seen that convention?
Yeah.
Right?
Usually red.
Right. So what you have to do here is we have to, as a group or as a designer, let's say, as an individual designer, I'm not going to point you out, but I'm going to point you out as an individual designer. You have to, all of you have to parse all this data, right? Meaning, I have to deal with top-down information, I have to deal with bottom-up user questions, I have to look out and from empirical research, observational data, or data that I gathered observationally, see what conventions and patterns are out there, and compile all of this into an information architecture that somebody can clearly understand. That's the overall objective. So,
Oh wow, it's a
right? That's my obnoxious, here's what I do. I'm going to confess, Alan. When people are randomly out there taking photos, right? And if I see myself that I'm going to actually be in their photo, I'll like walk along like this.
Gotcha.
Does everybody know what this is?
Yeah.
It's not classroom appropriate, is all I'm saying. So,
I don't know what it is.
This one is really good too.
you can, here's the thing, they're not going to fire me.
Okay, cool. Okay, all right, all right.
Right? I've been here 15 years, you guys learn too much. They like me. Most everybody does.
I'm gonna vote for you for every class.
All right.
So are we supposed to do this at home with, like you did this with his? So
yes.
Is that what we're doing?
So what you are to, so again, if we look at the assignment and what the requirements for the assignment is, what you need to do is some way, shape, or form come up with the top-down, bottom-up information. Whether that is, here's the existing architecture, or my client says they want X, Y, and Z. Here are the questions that we went over in class today, so you just did part of your assignment in class today. The next phase is to one way, shape, or form, whether you do it on your own, whether you and Maureen do it together, which probably is a good idea, right? Because she took this class last quarter. You guys then have to take these questions and these topics and some way, shape, or form go and start grouping these like this and come out the other side with architecture in pencil or pen like this that then you make into a nice looking document.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yep.
And that hopefully is clearly explained on the assignment
Okay.
page.